if you get this wrong, you will lose hundreds of thousands. What exactly is off-plan investment? So what is off-plan property investment? Put simply, what you're doing is investing in the plan of a property, not an actual property. So you can buy all the way from when planning has gone through for the developer, all the way up to a month before completion. That essentially is not buying the property, you are buying off the back of a plan of the property investment. I'm going to be upfront with you. I do not typically buy off plan for a lot of reasons, which I'm going to break down a bit later, but let's explore some reasons why would you look to purchase off plan. Well, number one is there's no work to do. You've got a brand new investment opportunity there. And you don't need to do the refurbishments. You don't need to do a load of snagging. You don't need to think about, is the boiler going to break down? Because it's all very unlikely. You are moving into something nice and fresh. Number two, incentives, whether it's rental guarantees, as developers offer like 5 or 10-year rental guarantees on a property, or you can get cash back or your stamp duty paid for. There's a lot of incentives around off-plan developments because the developers got so much that they need to shift it as they're moving forward. And finally, capital growth. What you need to understand is often people are putting down their deposit for it 2 years before the property's even built. So whilst there is a natural deflation of value quite immediately with new builds, you've got that 1 to 2 years of natural capital growth that's happening in the area, but the developer is guaranteeing you the price that is agreed today. So let's say you agreed 200,000 on this property. Well, over 2 years, that might go up to 220, 230,000 pounds in value, but you're still able to pay the 200,000 mark. So right now, it sounds like quite an appealing offer. It's not that good. There are some downsides. So first, have you ever been in a new build and the shower, you want to have your morning shower, you turn it on and it doesn't come on? Have you ever wanted to close your door and yet actually it doesn't quite close, it's just a little bit too snug? Have you ever had it and after 6 months you notice all these cracks in the corners starting to appear because the house is starting to settle? Well, there's your first downside of an off-plan new build development, of when you actually get it, all of the issues that go on, and they are notoriously terrible at doing the snagging. And that's because it looks beautiful when you move in, but actually very quickly you start to see these issues and the tenants will start complaining. You then get in touch with the developer and say, hey, look, this is a load of snagging. They either go, well, actually you should have brought that up prior, or we're going to do that in 6 months with everyone's at the same time. Not exactly a good start to your investment journey or for your tenant. Next is the price that you're paying. It's the glitz and glam of property, the beautiful brochure. Now, there's a reason I like boring vanilla buy-to-lets, because it is what it is. It's not singing or dancing things. You don't need this glossy brochure to sell a 50-year-old buy-to-let property. You know what you're getting. But new build is put as this, wow, how glorious is it? And then it's put forward as if you're getting some sort of discount. But are you? I've heard of people going, hey, I'm getting a 15% discount on it. It's like, are you though? And then they go, yeah, absolutely. This is a lot closer to the property being built. They go, yeah, they were selling for 220,000. It's like, no, they sold 5 at 220,000 to their unsuspecting victim. And then they've given you it at 195. How incredible. Except that every other property on that road hasn't sold over 180,000 in the last year. So have you really got a discount? No. What typically happens with developments is you are paying an inflated rate and then they'll reduce from that. It's kind of like a supermarket increasing all their prices 30% and going, hey, 10% off this weekend only. Thank you. No, thank you. Next is the limited ability to add value. Now, as I said, I'm a boring vanilla buy-to-let guy, so I'm not looking to do massive structural changes, massive refurbs or anything like that. But what I am always looking is, if I wanted to extend, would I want to do it? If I wanted to move some walls around, would I do it? The answer is yes, down the line. I always like an opportunity to increase the value of the property. The problem with new builds and the off-plan market is that everything, not everything, but a majority of them are squeezed, but the square meter is just squeezed so much that there just isn't any ability to add value. So you really do need to take it at face value and do your true due diligence. Next is the exit route. Now, the exit route for me is the hardest thing because a lot of people buy new builds and actually end up selling them in the first couple of years, usually at a break-even rate or even a loss. The reason why is they realize it's actually not that nice living in a new build and the issues then come up. But the problem is, you've obviously paid your stamp duty, all of your solicitor fees, your exit fees and everything else. So the market hasn't had a chance to appreciate. Then the issue is, after 2 years, it's being lived in. How much is really differentiating between that and the 50-year-old buy-to-let? Not a lot. And you start realizing these things, oh, thinner walls, sound doesn't get broken down very well, everything's a little bit flimsy because it's all about speed of putting the property up, whereas the older houses, obviously it's solid brick all the way through. And so actually, the exit opportunity of selling it as a new build wears off very quickly, especially how quickly developments are going up now. 6 months later, there's another new build off-plan opportunity just around the corner. Penultimately, and I'm going to get to the biggest risk of this in the next section, but lower yields. Lower yields. Look, whilst capital growth is the single most important proponent of making a good property investment, let's face it, the yields and the ROCE, return on capital employed, is what puts money in our pocket on a monthly basis. That's what creates financial freedom as an investor. You can't bank capital growth every single month, even though it is going to make you the most money on the long term. But if you're investing for a good, substantial return on your money, then actually those 10-year guaranteed rents really aren't that good after about the second year, because you're actually getting paid lower than the market rents, but also because of the inflated prices that you are putting in to purchase this turnkey investment, expect a much lower return. But it gets so much worse. The big one is it going to get built? Okay, so this is happening quite a lot. It's usually in other European countries, which I probably won't do a video, but just don't do it. Don't buy this beautiful ski lodge in Belarus or wherever it is, and you go there and realize, oh no, there's no skiing. Well, that's a bit weird. Genuinely seen that, by the way. But even in the UK, there are some developers that are brilliant. They are brilliant. I'm not here to name and shame the ones, but a lot of them are not so good. Maybe they don't deliver the kitchen that they sold you. Maybe they don't deliver on time. And we're talking 1 year, 2 year, 3 year delays on this. I've heard of people investing in things where it never got developed. They paid their 5 or 10%, which you usually do up front, and then the developer went bust. Especially now with costs going up 40% in materials and labor, some materials going up over 112%. What do you think that does to the developer? They've all sold off plan in the first place, or a lot of it off plan, to get some money in. But then all of their costs have gone up, but they are tied in. So it's no longer financially viable for them to do it. They don't have the backing, and so they have to go bankrupt. What happens to you? Well, the land gets sold off somewhere and you lose your deposit because it's been spent. Now, does this happen a lot? No. Does it happen to loads of people I know? No. And I'm not trying to say it does. However, you need to do your due diligence because it does happen and people have lost their life savings when it goes wrong. And this is why I fully ascribe to boring, vanilla buy-to-lets. So should you purchase an off-plan property? Maybe. So when you get good buying power, like myself, we're typically doing 20 a month. There are developers with the straggling properties, not bad properties, just they've saturated the market a bit more and they might have 15 more to sell. Often I can pick those up for about 30% off the market value. Now suddenly it's interesting. Still not amazing, and most of them I still turn away if I'm completely honest, because I just don't buy into them. However, if you are determined to have that glossy 2-bed flat overseeing the river Nile or wherever it is, and really you realise actually it's just a pond down the road that's dried up and got a couple of dead seagulls in, then make sure you do your due diligence. And I don't just mean of the property, I mean of the area. Do your due diligence of the numbers, and do your due diligence on the developer. How much money do they have in their bank? What insurances do they have in place, and what warranties do they have? So if you're gonna go out there and risk it, I understand people do make substantial returns on new builds, especially with the capital growth, but make sure you get it right. But I'm gonna be here, stay boring, stay vanilla. I'm about the buy-to-let. So if you got value from this video, make sure to hit the subscribe and the notification bell if you want to learn anything about property investment. Let me know what you thought about it on the comments. And before you leave, make sure to lightly destroy the like button, and I'll see you in the next video.